With high-power slug guns being all the rage in 2024, why would you still want to be shooting pellets? Well, we're going to talk about some of those obvious reasons that I think most of you already know, and one that may not be quite so obvious, as well as this Saber tactical chassis. We're going to do some shooting at 50, 100, 150 yards, and ultimately I hope that you'll learn a little bit about this chassis and why you might still want to be shooting pellets in 2024. Now, before we get too far in this video, I want to thank our channel sponsors, Utah Airguns. It's thanks to them that I'm able to bring you these airgun videos completely ad-free. And if you're looking for anything airgun or precision rifle accessories, and that's everything from scopes, bipods, tripods, to Armageddon gear bags, to MDT products, you can go there and check them out, including this Saber tactical chassis for the King. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit because I think this is a really cool way to transform your King that would come in a GRS stock into something that would be more competition ready for NRL 22. Now, like all the other Saber stuff, this thing is very, very beefy. It is a solid chunk of aluminum. Now, this fore end here that you're looking at with 1, 2, 3, 4 M-LOK slots is kind of the standard configuration. I would suggest if you're shooting a King that you pony up and get the extended version. Now, the extended version is for the bigger bottle, but it's going to give you more M-LOK slots, and it's going to allow you to put more weights on this and get a little bit better forward balance. While this is a really good setup as it is, if you're going to shoot NRL 22, and I assume if you're watching this channel, that's probably what you're into, then this will better balance with that longer setup. Now, in this configuration, you're still getting ARCA adaptability, you're getting M-LOK, so you can add weights to this to help with that forward balance. You're getting some really nice texture on here. And one thing I didn't notice at first was this bottom trigger housing actually comes off, and why that's important and a cool feature is that all FX air guns pretty much that I know of adjust the trigger section from the bottom, and it can be a little bit of a pain to get to. And in my case, I replace all the curved trigger shoes for these pinpoint flat shoes. Now, these are available at Bullet Central. I think this is a cooperation between them and Cape Fear air guns, but I enjoy these flat shoes. I like to set up my FX triggers as a single stage with these flat shoe triggers, and I keep that basically the same across the board. Now, moving to the rear of this chassis, you do have a AR style buffer tube kind of attachment, although there is no actual buffer tube, but you have an adjustable length pull, adjustable cheek riser, and I'll show you in B-roll how those work exactly, but it's very quick to adjust on the fly, so very adaptable between youth and adult shooters. We have a bubble level on the rear here, and like most of the other Saber products, it's just really well thought out and really well engineered. It is extremely solid and transforms the feel of this gun. Now, I don't want to bore you to tears, so let's cut over to the range where we're going to talk about some of those more obvious reasons, and then as we push the distance out, we're going to get into that one main reason of why I still shoot pellets in 2024. And one thing I want you to keep in mind is that the intent of this video is not to go out and crush steel and show you how good of a shooter I am. It's to go out there and put this in an environment where it's going to be very likely to miss, because when we miss and we see those misses, we learn really, really valuable information that's going to help us across all levels of shooting. But enough talking about it. Let's get out there to the range and let's shoot these pellets. All right, so we're going to start out at 50 yards and work our way out, and we're just going to run a bag here because the chassis is pretty dang stable. So you can see my target out there is pretty well shot up, but what we're going to do is I'm going to shoot a hole somewhere where there isn't a hole, and then we're going to shoot at it again. Just make sure we are on, and we definitely need to come back to our 0. Haven't really shot this in quite a while. Let's pick a spot. Actually, there's a hole on the upper left shoulder. Okay, we were just right of that. Okay. And I'm going to hold just above that just to make sure. Okay, now we're going to shoot at that fresh hole. Okay, so we are at least 1/10 right. We're going to make that adjustment. And now we're going to shoot at that left hole. Okay, I think it can stand to go 1 more tenth left. Hey, I think we're good. So we know what this looks like. Let's go out to 100 yards now. As you can tell, I'm purposely filming this in the wind today, but we're not gonna get there yet. Let me move the camera. We're gonna shoot a little bit at 100. We'll figure out the dope for that with these pellets. All right, I think you can see there's a squirrel down there. I don't know when he'll leave. For a 22 long rifle, we're looking at about 1.6 to 1.8 mils of dope. I think we almost need to double that. We're gonna try 3.2 mils with these pellets. But one of the more common reasons you would shoot a pellet gun is one, price. It's a lot cheaper to shoot pellets. They're a lot more plentiful. They tend to be not as picky. Another reason is that they're easy to tune. You basically set them at a known speed, somewhere around 880-ish. Most pellets are gonna behave and stabilize because they are drag stabilized. Let's shoot at the far left one. Okay, just off left and low. So you're getting a lot more economy out of a pellet setup. I'm gonna hold off right. Okay, that was a hit. Okay, and that was a hit. All right, so you're getting more economy. You're also getting a lot more air economy. You're getting a lot more shots per fill. A lot of times on these high power guns, you're filling them up like every 10 shots. It's not going to go very long at all before it needs air. That's two parts problem. So if you're just sitting down and shooting for fun, you either need to be tethered or you're gonna be refilling a lot. And the second part of the problem is you're gonna blow through a lot of air. So if you don't have a big air compressor at home to fill a tank, then you're gonna be stopping every, 5 minutes and filling up the gun. Now they serve their purpose, but for just having fun and getting into this, I still think pellets are very much, should be the go-to for you because they're gonna get you into the sport. It's gonna be a lot cheaper up front and you're gonna be able to stretch everything out a little bit further. Your ammo budget's gonna go further. Your air economy is gonna go further. All right, so enough messing around. Fresh mag in, camera moved. We're gonna now need to dial a bunch. We're going out to 150, so I'm gonna go 6 mils, 7, 8. I'm gonna shoot 9.5 mils. Now, normally this would be 4 mils with my 22 long rifle, and that's going to bring us up to our last talking point about why shoot pellets in 2024, and that's because pellets have terrible BC, right? So we've already talked about the other reasons why, but because the BC is bad, the wind does a lot of things to this. And if you're trying to learn to shoot in conditions, practical shooting, those kind of things, then being out and shooting in the wind with a pellet, which is going to punish you for every little mistake you make and every bit of the wind you don't read, can quickly teach you a few things. One, wind holding, and two, how to have a good follow through. And what I mean by that is not really related to the gun and accuracy, but so much as seeing where your projectile goes and making a correction. So we are just going to give this a rip. Get this guy parallaxed in. I'm working with about 18 power here. We're gonna shoot at the center bomb. Now I'm gonna hold it straight up and just see where it goes. Okay, that looked like that was a little high and off left. We're gonna send one more. Yep, I seen it. It was off left, not as much high as it was windage. Wind is picking up out there. Let's see if we can make it work. Oh! And there's the correction. And getting a hit with this at 150 yards is challenging with a little itty bitty pellet. Oh, we're just off of it. More wind now. Oh, just off the other side. There we go. And you can see the wind conditions are changing here. It's definitely right to left and it's coming and going, but I think we've shot enough off here. Let's get this new Saber tactical chassis. Let's put it on some props. Let's move this thing around, see how this feels. And we'll talk a little bit more about the chassis now that we've kind of talked about the pellet stuff. Do have a little bit of change of wind here. It's gonna make it a lot harder, and that's Really, the big part of this is, is this going to be as cool as a high power slug gun? No. Is it going to be as ballistically efficient as one? No. Is it cheaper to shoot? Yeah. Is it a lot easier to shoot it just out in your backyard having fun? Yes. And will you learn a ton about shooting fundamentals, especially reading the wind? And we're shooting 150 yards. This is probably where most people would have long since given up on pellets, but it is doable. And the big thing is I'm not really worried about how many hits I'm getting. I'm really just paying attention to wind and trying to figure out what my hole needs to be. So here I feel like the wind has kind of even come in from the left or right, just a hair. I'm going to hold this more straight up than anything. I think we nicked the pole maybe. There it is. Whew. Yeah, it's not easy out there at 150 yards with this guy. So a lot of good reasons to still be shooting a pellet rifle in 2024, obviously for the cost alone, but you can have some really productive practice. And yeah, a lot more misses than you guys are probably used to seeing. About what I anticipated. Every little bit of wind change is going to push that pellet down, up, left, right, and it's going to make you pay more attention to those small changes in the environment around you as you're shooting. Your dope, everything is increased. So when you step back up to a slug gun or a 22 or a centerfire gun, things get progressively easier. It's kind of the way that I shoot a 22 rifle. When I go to shoot my centerfire rifles, I feel like it's basically a cheat code. If you're out there slinging pellets in the wind and you go to a slug gun, this is also going to feel very much like a cheat code. And as far as the Saber chassis goes, this is one beefy piece of aluminum. I have no complaints. I do wish I would have got the longer section or put some weights on this to make it balance better for this video. Right now, all my weights are tied up on other guns, and this is a really good option if you're trying to accessorize or do things like bench competition, maybe even compete in PRS or probably more realistically NRL 22. You could definitely compete in NRL 22 with this in a 25 or 30 cal pellet slinger, especially if you're going to a box range where the wind conditions aren't going to be quite so variable. But again, big thanks over to Saber Tactical, Donnie FL, those guys, for allowing me to take a look at this chassis. Big thanks to Utah Air Guns for sponsoring this video and bringing it to you ad-free. Had a lot of fun out here shooting this today. Kind of forget sometimes how easy and fun it is to shoot pellets. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you on the next one.